Welcome to Dads with Nerdy Ambitions, your go-to podcast for all things nerdy. I'm your host, Steve Pugh, and I would say I'm joined by my host, David Perry today, my co-host, but he decided not to show up tonight, and I'm going to make sure it's in my audio on the podcast so he can hear it. However, I am joined by the amazing, and even though he doesn't like to consider himself a master builder, I very much consider him one, Dana Knudsen. And I did get his name right the first time this time, so that's also awesome.
All right, I'm going to give you half points because it's Knudsen.
Oh, you are Knudsen too.
Versus
I did know
Knudsen.
that. 0-2. 0-2, good sir. 0-2.
But fear not,
you. Third time. I knew that too. I knew that too. And I'm sitting here like, don't say his last name wrong. Don't say his last. That's what I did last time too, didn't I? No, because I called David. I called you David Knudsen.
You called me David. I think you pronounced my last name correctly, but my first name incorrectly. Yes. So now you're over 2, but for different reasons. So that makes it.
What? Tonight is one of those nights, ladies and gentlemen. Dana has been an amazing guest waiting for me. Like, I am a terrible podcast host tonight. Files had not converted properly, and so my computer was doing all sorts of things, and he's like, hey, aren't we supposed to be on? And I said, yes we are. And so he has been waiting a solid half an hour waiting for me to start my podcast. Completely unprofessional.
But to your credit, though, it actually gave me some time. It gave me some time to sit here and start working on a build that I need to do for my lug, which we'll talk about here as we get going. So time not wasted. Not wasted. So I am good to go.
So did I tell you why David's not on the show tonight?
No, but I find it. I'm dying to know why now.
I'm insulted and jealous at the same time. He is actually going to go see The Eternals tonight. He decided to go on a date with his wife and go see a movie. I'm like,
that's nice.
Yeah. Instead of like standing or staying up and hanging out with a bunch of grown men talking about Legos, he'd rather go see a movie and be with his wife.
It happens to the best.
No, I'm legitimately jealous because I want to go see it. It looks like it's a good movie.
I want to go see it too. I do. And you're right. It does look like it's a good movie. I think it's going to go over so many people's heads to start out with.
I think how I see this going and what the reviews are basically telling me is how I saw Guardians of the Galaxy going. But because when I first they announced Guardians of the Galaxy back, what was that? Back in like 2013 to 2014, because it came out in 14. I was like, okay, how are they going to pull off a talking tree and a raccoon? Like, I'm like, okay, in space, mind you.
Yeah.
So I was like I was familiar with the comics. I never read them, but I was familiar with them.
Right.
And I was like, how are they going to pull this off? There's no way they're going to be able to do this. And they did. So I think this is that. How are they going to do this reaction? I'm still excited. I'm planning on trying to go see it in theater. However, the holidays are very busy for me as a mailman. And as we were talking earlier, my schedule is slammed, especially for the next couple weeks. I'm recording again tonight. I'm doing a session for my D&D guys tomorrow, my mailman nerds. I'm recording Wednesday. I'm recording Thursday, this Wednesday's Friday. I'm recording Saturday. I'm going out for my anniversary. Sunday, I'm dad day, so I take care of the kids so the wife can sleep in because she's amazing, and she usually grabs them other days. The 16th, I have Cub Scouts with my son. Or no, I have a dental appointment. My God, I'm screwing up my days. I'm over here telling my whole life. No, but with the point I was trying to get, because I get the wrong day, is the 17th, my birthday. I have the wonderful, amazing Sandy Peterson from Peterson Games, one of the creators of Doom, Quake, Ages of Empires, Call of Cthulhu, Cthulhu Wars, Planet Apocalypse, just to name a few things this guy has worked on and created. Coming on the podcast to talk all things nerdy and basically about Petersen Games. The fact that I was like, hey, you want to come on? And he's like, heck yeah. I was like, cool. We will talk about whatever you want first, however long as you want. Like,
I think you're going to burn up some serious audio on that. It's going to probably just be like, you're going to have to do a whole series on just that one episode.
I will. I already told him. I told him, and I told, like, because I was like, what do you like? I was like, we will talk about whatever you want as long as you want, because actually this month is the 40th anniversary of Call of Cthulhu. So the RPG. So right. I'm sure he's going to have some great stories about.
Oh yeah, I mean, how could he not? I mean, just the things he's worked on alone. I mean, just the introduction could take an hour. That's probably what's going to happen.
Speaking of HP Lovecraft stuff, have you ever made an HP Lovecraft themed Lego?
I have
display
not.
Diorama.
I have not. And so here's the weird thing about Lego. Everyone Legos differently, and you get into these niches. And because I got talking to a buddy. So actually, we do an old we call it Old Gray Bricks on YouTube. So if you Google Old Gray Bricks, you'll find our podcast and our stream. And we had a conversation after the fact one night where we were talking about how you get an inventory. You start to develop an inventory for the things that you build, and when you change themes or scope, you basically almost have to start over for that theme. So you typically will find people, and I'm not saying that people don't build in multiple themes or do different things, but it depends on their build style and their inventory and the types of bricks they have, because I have an excessive amount of gray, dark gray, or light gray, dark gray, black, blue, and my favorite color to build in is also orange. So I have a large quantity of orange, but that leads me to building things that are spaceships, moon bases, things that are space related, because that's what I plan to build. So when it comes time to someone says, hey, can you build a pirate theme with, or something along those lines? And I'm like, yeah, I don't really have a lot of the pieces that I would need to build in that realm, because I haven't inventoried them. I haven't gathered the inventory for that type of theme. Now I have slowly been changing that. I do actually have a lot of browns or reddish browns now that I could build a fort or a castle, or I have also a large amount of white, so I could do like an imperial fort and maybe some sort of island bungalow thing for pirates. So I could go down into those avenues, but that's, again, I would probably wind up having to pull pieces from other areas, maybe even from sets I have or sets I haven't opened, or even order parts to make something, because I just don't have the parts to make them. So to answer the long answer to your story, what I meant to HP Lovecraft is I probably could, but I would have to really stretch the muscles and really get creative with some of the parts, or I'd have to order parts. Now, a lot of times, and I think I was mentioning this right before we got on, I've been building things. I'll do rough drafts lately.
He was building I hear little bags and everything.
pieces and pieces. Yeah. So I'd started building something this afternoon while I was on a conference call, but I like one of my conference calls, I'll build digitally, because I can just open digital or Lego or Bricklink Studio and start tossing some bricks together and coming up with an idea of something that I'm working on. And it'll give me the pieces that I pretty much know I'm going to want to need for that. So then I can go ahead and pull those from my inventory versus pulling out tons and tons of bricks and doing it the old fashioned way, which there's pluses and minuses to both things. One, the plus is that I don't have to pull all that stuff out, but there is something organic about having a pile of bricks in front of you and just going with it. And the pieces that you have in front of you will dictate where the build is going to go. And so you don't get that when you're digital, because even though you have literally every piece under the sun and pieces that don't even exist to play with, you have to be in the right frame of mind to build digitally versus building organically when you've got the pieces in front of you. And I'm still more of a fan of building with the pieces in front of me.
You're old school.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You're old school. I absolutely respect and I totally get that. I was actually it's an episode I want to do. But I was listening to the news this morning and they were talking about Facebook and the metaverse. I don't know if you familiar with everything that's going on with Facebook, but they're trying to go to the next level, basically, and do like VR social media.
Right. I have heard inklings of that. Yes.
Okay. So I was sitting there, I was thinking about, and they were talking about the pros and cons and what they're looking at, the ethics of it and everything. And I started to wonder, and I asked this on Twitter, is, with AR, VR, and, the meta, how close are we, is this the next stage of gaming and social media or socialization in general? Or are we heading down the rabbit hole? And I'm kind of said as a joke, but like the rabbit hole of the Matrix and Ready Player One,
or for that matter, WALL-E.
Oh my God, yeah,
yeah. I think the answer to your question is yes. Is that we are going to that next level of being able to do that. VR is getting much more affordable. The technology is starting to ramp up. I would love an Oculus.
I have one. I got one. Hell of a good deal too.
Oh, I mean, just seeing what people are doing and playing and using them for working out and all sorts of strange things and being able to do that. I think they're fantastic. I think that's going to, my wife would love for there to be a D&D online game with an Oculus.
There is
ISK. But I mean, she wants because I wasn't a year one D&D online, but probably within the first 2 or 3. And I've had an account since. So that it's going on. I think it's like 15 years. So that game is 4th edition rules, and everything and anything you can think of that you wanted to do in 4th edition, you've got in this world. They've gone all over the place. To be able to walk through those same places with a VR would be the ultimate Woody. I mean, it would never go away. It would be a blue pill that never ended.
Yeah. Well, there is a game that is D&D-esque. It's called, I want to say it's like, it looks like it's spelled demo.
Okay.
But it's Demio or something like that. But it's, you roll a die and you move your character.
Right.
And you can zoom in and zoom out around the map, and it's neat. It's D&D-esque.
Right. But it sounds like it's like D&D-esque, paper-esque, but VR.
No, more like board game.
Okay.
Now there is a game that you're describing that's very similar. Now it's Warhammer 40K, where it's Sisters of Battle, and the graphics are not the greatest, but I downloaded it because I wanted to walk through my world of the Warhammer 40K Imperium, and it was amazing. I got to hold a bolter. I got to see how big these guns are. I'm like, wow, this is stupid, ridiculously big. Now I understand why it can only do so many things. And of course, your Sisters of Battle and everything. So they're nuns with guns.
Right.
But yeah, there is a lot of really cool things. And I want to dedicate an entire episode to it, like the pros and cons. Cause I have an Oculus. I enjoy it, but there are fears. There are scares. Like I don't do the VR, like social media things, because it's all the toxicity of regular trolling social media. And then it's more intense, I feel like, because there is that there's that physical voice, if you will, physical and presence.
Because anybody behind a keyboard instantly becomes the biggest asshole that they're capable of being. And yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I mean, I typically keep my social media to a minimum, as it were. I mean, realistically, my wife and I joke because she's like, social media is horrible for marriages and this and that, and all this. And I'm like, I get that, I understand that, and I see the downsides and what can happen for things like that. But literally 99.9% of my social media interaction is all about plastic bricks.
It's true. So as somebody we're friends on Facebook, I see your stuff. I want to tell you, I absolutely, because before we go too much on a tangent here, talking about what you've been up to, I absolutely loved your spaceman costume. I loved the, like, when I saw, and I had to ask you, like, the LED lights, because all I would think is like, man, that yellow flashing would be just like irksome on me.
No, and that's just it, because for those who haven't seen the picture, so I did a Benny spaceship, or Benny the spaceman or 80 something space guy cosplay, basically. Full blue jumpsuit, embroidered or patched on the classic space logo on the chest, upscaled the 3D printed the air tanks, and actually I did Pepe Kura on everything. So air tanks and a helmet with the cracked chin, just like out of the Lego movie. And then I took yellow Christmas lights, LED Christmas lights around the inside of the helmet, so that when I turned them on, I became yellow without having to wear yellow makeup.
So good.
And by far, and I know you had shot me something about wanting to do with a pre-DragonCon episode, and I totally spaced on you on that.
Oh no, it's all totally we were so. I'm not even kidding. Like the amount of I volunteer as tribute for like cosplay, like I legitimately had no intention on doing too much with cosplay. But it just kept happening and happening and happening. And like DragonCon was coming. I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's make this is our theme for our month is cosplay. And we still, and this is what happens. And it just happened like, this is another reason we're doing a Lego episode is we don't get to touch on everything that we want to talk about. And they're like, and yeah, we do the tangents, but I love the tangents. The tangents are fun. It's what makes it personable. Yeah. And but there's so much to this nerd culture that you want to try to keep it as like finite as possible. I think an hour to an hour and a half is that sweet spot.
Yeah.
And you don't want to like mind numb people, but you also, there's so much that you miss that you go, you know what, we're going to have to come back for a round 2, which is why we have you on here. And like we spent an entire month talking about cosplay too, even to the point where I was like, okay, I need to talk about something else. And I'm like, I know if I'm burning out, I know the listeners are burning out. Like, okay, cool. Cosplaying is awesome. We can come back to it later. Yeah, totally.
Then I will keep this Lego cosplay tangent to minimum.
Go ahead.
So I the first time I wore my Benny costume to DragonCon, it was like on a Friday night, and I would say probably after about an hour and a half, I could barely talk because everywhere I went, people were yelling spaceship at me, and I had to yell spaceship back. And it was out of all the costumes I've ever worn at DragonCon, it has been the most well received. It's my staple. So when I do go back to DragonCon again, I will wear it again because people were like, "Oh man, I remember seeing you last year," or "Oh man, I missed you that year when you wore this. So I'm so glad you wore it again." So I just have so much fun because you get everybody who just goes super uber nostalgia. And they're like little kids again. And they're like, this is awesome. Because then I've got like a 3D printed walkie-talkie or a wrench or a hammer that are just upscale pieces. And people's minds are just like, oh, I need this. It's so much fun. And that's the whole thing about cosplay. It's dress up for adults. And we don't necessarily have to do it on Halloween. And it's way too addictive. And we have extra money to dump into it. And it's so much fun. So that's my tangent on that.
No, it's okay. I don't know if you saw my pictures from Halloween, but I was a Yuan-ti or a snake person.
Okay. I think I did. Fantastic. I mean, I saw the mask. I think you showed me the mask beforehand. Fantastic job, by the way.
Dude, which is why it made me want to talk about it, is because like how people are excited with you. So I went around our town. I was going to go to a Mystic, Connecticut, by the way, and they have a really cool place over there called the Cloak and Wand, and it's this great little like nostalgia like fantasy store. And unfortunately, I didn't get to make it over there, and so I was like, all right, well, I want to walk around town in here, dude. People were coming up to me like, oh yeah. They would walk by them. They're like, oh, and I wouldn't talk. I would just like wear the mask like rigor mortis style. And then like, they're like, oh, you look scary. And I'm like, I really don't think I look that scary, but that kind of hurts my feelings. And they see the expressions happen on the mask and they're like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? Yeah. Oh my God. And I'm like making sure to be like over dramatic with my expressions. And they're like, yeah, you can touch it. And it was so much fun. Like my next door neighbor, I make sure. So I don't want to say he's a closet nerd, but he's kind of like, he's not as out as me with my podcast. But he he saw it. I make sure to go over to his house and show him, and he's like, "Oh my god!" And he got so excited. And then we're like talking about Hasbro Pulse and everything.
Yeah,
it was absolutely blast. Very, very fun time. One thing before we start, going into this episode, I know this has been making this about me, but have you ever been to now, Dana? Where do you live? What state? We'll keep it generic.
I am in Georgia. I'm in North Atlanta.
All right, that's right. I knew that too. Is there a place? Have you ever heard of a grocery store called Stew Leonard's by any chance?
Can't say I have.
Okay, cool. So I'm assuming it's just like a New England, specifically Connecticut thing. I think there's one in Jersey, but it's a grocery store called Stew Leonard, and apparently it is a rite of passage for any what are Connecticut people called? I don't know. New Englanders. We'll just go with New Englanders.
New Englanders is probably safe.
Yeah, I think that's a safe answer right now. Yeah. So New Englander thing is going to this grocery store called Stew Leonard's. I've never been before, and my wife she's like, "Hey, we need to go to the grocery store. We're gonna go to Stew Leonard's," and she's like all excited about it. I'm like, "It's a grocery store. Why would you get excited, dude? Let me tell you what, this grocery store is awesome. All right, like." There is creepy singing fruit and like popcorn and like cows and everything. There's a bunch of it's very animatronic.
I was gonna say, is it like going to the grocery store in Disney World or
almost? So it's very animated. They have things divvied up. Like they have like you're walking around and there is like, how you have the the little meat area with the people behind it, and you have the deli. There is areas for every kind of food over there. They have people divided for different areas. And so it is an experience. Like they had, as soon as you walk in, I mean, you had the booze to the right, which was great. But then you had like cinnamon roasted almonds and pretzels and stuff like that. And to your left is ice cream, like fresh made ice cream. And then you go further, like it's so many different things.
Cow.
It was so awesome. And
no, but I gotta ask because I mean, the only thing that would make that better is that if you could open container in the store while you're going around.
Oh, I wish I could have done that. That would have been epic. No, but there was tons of samples on foods and stuff.
Right.
And they had all sorts of like regular drinks. Like it is like we spent $75 just getting like little stuff for like, we're like, hey, let's get dinner for the night. We're each grabbing random things. We spent $75 easily just buying dinner for that night. Absolutely amazing. Highly recommend this experience. They had like stuff like stuffed animals like spinning around, and like my son was being a 10-year-old the entire time. Like he was trying to be cool. Like he was like, oh, this
isn't cool. Yeah.
So I got into it, and I'm like, oh, Ethan, 1 minute and 38 seconds, that music will play again and we can get into it. and then he saw these, and so then Dark Dad came out, and Dark Dad likes to mess around with that with my son. He goes, he's like, oh, and I'm like, man, you better calm it down. He goes, why? I said, you see all those animals, like the stuffed animals spinning around the bars and everything, doing the tricks? And he goes, yeah. I said, do you know how they keep those balanced? And he goes, no. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this. And like my wife's far enough away where she can't hear me because I know I'm going to get in trouble. She hears me. I said, they use the skulls of the children that are rude and disrespectful in this area. He goes, no, that's not true. And I said, look around, dude. Do you see any rude and disrespectful children? I said, look at that one spinning. You can actually see the outline of the skull. Look at it. And he is freaking out. And he's like, he knows I'm not telling the truth, but it's just enough disturbing that he believed me.
There's just enough realism to what you're telling him that he's like, I don't know if I should call him on this.
He's like, and he's starting to get nervous. He's like, are you serious, Dad? Are you serious? And I'm like, and I just bust out laughing. I'm like, no, you moron. I'm not. Are you kidding me? That's
while we're at it. Lighten up.
I'm like, calm down, have a good time. Yeah. And so he did, and we had a blast. I got a giant Bulgarian pretzel and some other stuff. But we didn't do this show to talk about me. We did this show to talk about you and go on our tangents about Lego.
I'm going to segue from that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I have made an art form of the segue, so I can always steer a conversation back to where we're running. So, talking about grocery stores, and I know one of the things that we want to talk about, and maybe I'll jump the gun on this, is holiday buying and deals, and that's what I'm going to talk about. We're going to do this a little bit about talking about good habits for your Lego spending.
Yes,
and as a seasoned Lego purchaser, I can pass on to you these nuggets.
Yes, please, the do's and don'ts.
The do's and don'ts. So the first and foremost thing, I wanted to talk about the grocery store, because most of the time when you think Lego, you don't think grocery stores. You think Target, Walmart. Now, granted, those places may have grocery stores in them today, but you don't think about your simple old regular, depending on where you are in the country or where you are in the world. I'm not even going to say the names, but a grocery store that you frequently go to, you don't think about Lego. Some of those grocery stores do have toy aisles. Some of them are like maybe 2 or 3 kiosks or tiers. And some are the newer grocery stores and some of the newer built up areas. And one of them is nearby my house. We have down here in the Southeast, Kroger is a big grocery store.
Yes.
One of the big grocery stores. And I actually have been having to tell my friends not to come to my grocery stores because I don't want them pilfering on my Lego deals, because
this is your turf.
This is my turf. Gosh darn, stay away. You deal with the other area of town. You get your buys and your deals wherever. You leave my grocery store alone, because my Kroger is probably like 2 years old. It's brand new. And this is one of those up and, high end. We've done everything in this grocery store. There is a full blown male, female, kids clothing section that would rival a Target in this grocery store.
What's the population of your town? Like, I'm assuming it's small.
It's small. I mean, I live in a small-ish section, but I live in what's referred to as the Golden Triangle of North Atlanta. So it's a very technology heavy center. So lots of people who work in technology live in this area. So even smaller sections, there's money, and not always, but you'll have trailer homes next to $1 million houses. It's weird like that, but you'll find that. So this Kroger is in a section that butts up against many different bigger subdivisions, stuff like that. So they've got, you can get fresh sushi made Monday through 7 days a week till 6 o'clock at night. They've got a Starbucks in there, of course. That's kind of blasé at this point in time. But there is a full-blown like Williams-Sonoma in this store almost. I mean, it's not an actual Williams-Sonoma, but it looks like it. I mean, every household appliance, kitchen gadget thing, whatever you need one, you can pop in there 24 hours a day, grab one and go. It's crazy. Nice. Huge meat section, huge fruits and vegetables, huge bakery, is crazy stuff like that. It's just normal. But one of my favorite things is that their beer and wine section is huge. And on top of that, they've got a beer and wine tasting bar.
I'm in.
You basically line up. You basically you will see like a row of grocery carts for the people who have been like, okay, I'm going to pause my grocery shopping, have a glass of wine, have a beer, whatever. You can only have it within the confines of the bar section. But I mean, you can grab some food, grab your sushi, bring it over there, eat your whatever you're going to do, or the deli or whatever, and then going on, and then go about your shopping and this and that. The pharmacy section is huge. Now this, and the whole point of this story is that this Kroger has not just a half an aisle or a full aisle with both sides. It has in the third half. There are 3 aisles or 3 sides of toys for this Kroger, for this grocery store. It's amazing. It's unheard of. And they will oftentimes, just out of the blue, they'll throw a bunch of the new Lego sets for 20% off. Just out of the blue. I mean, you don't even get that at a Kroger or a Target or a Walmart.
No, you don't even get that from Lego.
From the Lego itself, right? So here's a grocery store that they'll do this, and then after say 6 months or whatever, something's been out for a while, as Lego is getting ready to start clearancing and retiring things in other stores, whether it be Walmart, Target, or the Lego store, or Amazon or whatnot, the grocery store will start to clearance those too, but they will really deep discount to where it's like 75% off of a set. And I keep this, I'm batting people like, get away, I'm taking all of this. And it's always I'm now trying to be a little more savvy where I'm checking my Kroger app to check for certain things. I'm like, has this gone on sale yet? Has this gone on clearance yet? So that's one of those things. It's like, never discount the fact that your grocery stores are in certain areas. When you're looking for discounts, check the grocery stores, check their clearance section, because it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be in the toy section. It might be over in their clearance section, because in like Walmart and Targets will do that too. They'll move their clearance to a specific area. So you got to be looking for that when you're going to look for clearance Lego.
Good call.
So
good call.
So saying that, moving into the different areas of where to start looking for the best deals on Lego. So we're going to start with the Lego stores first, completely ignoring Shop at Home, because typically Shop at Home is not going to really give you a whole lot for your bang for your buck, other than, I will say, do you know what I mean when I say GWP? Gift with purchase.
Yes.
So that is often a great way to maximize your dollars a little bit more for Shop at Home, or even going into the Lego stores. And as a seasoned Lego shopper, I realistically only go into a Lego store anymore if it's specifically for a specific GWP or an event, so that I'm getting the biggest bang for my buck from the Lego store, because the Lego store itself is probably the least effective way to get your Lego at a discount across the board. Now, that being said, I still love my Lego staff, employees and stuff like that. They treat me like I'm Norm at Cheers when I walk in there. It's a great thing. But from a hardcore Lego collector buyer, it's not the best place to get your deals.
Now, before you go too further on that, I just have one question. In Lego stores in general, is there stuff that you can only get in a Lego store?
There is, and there used to be. It used to be a lot more exclusive for certain things, and they would refer to as a D2C, direct to consumer, that would only be available in the Lego store or at Shop at Home. For example, Monkey Kid, if you're not familiar with that, it's a new Lego property. It was brought out last year. It was primarily directed at the Asian market, specifically China, because Lego has now got a bigger footprint in China, which helps them with their lawsuits against the knockoff companies and stuff like that. So they did this kind of, the Goku, Dragon Ball Z, the story of the Monkey King, that the whole thing has been going through lore for many different things, different platforms. And so Lego just said that was going to be their story platform, a la Ninjago, Nexo Knights, Chima, whatever you want to do. That's going to be their new in-house properties called Monkey Kid. And you can only get those in the Lego stores and online. You can't get them in Target, Walmart, or anything else. So that is still a direct-to-consumer product here in the States.
Interesting.
Which they just started. They started releasing the cartoons on Amazon. So if you've got Amazon Prime, they're available to watch now. And the sets are fantastic. They're crazy. Yeah. They're wild. They're colorful.
I'm looking at it right now. Nuts.
They're definitely worth checking out. Your kids will probably like the cartoon, and if they do, then you can start looking for that. So back to to shopping in a store. No, it's a segue. So things like that you can only get in the stores. The best thing for looking for deals, though, is definitely get yourself a VIP card. They're free to sign up. You walk into a store. Most associates are going to ask you, do you have a VIP card? Would you like to sign up for one? They're free. You accumulate points. You get basically for every, I figured it works out to be about 5%. So whatever your purchase is, you're getting 5% back to accumulate points that you can turn around and use to get product. It used to be you could only get it to do sets. Now they have things online where you can get coins and memorabilia and posters and all sorts of things. So you can use those points for other things, contests and whatnot. But it used to be exclusively you only use them for getting $5 off, $10 off, $100 off, $50 off your purchase because you've accumulated enough points. This last weekend was A-Fold Day, which I'll talk about a little further. I got the Imperial Cruiser from the Mandalorian, the light cruiser, Moff Gideon's. I got that for free because I used my points.
I think Dave,
it's like it's like $150 set. I got it for free because I used the points that I got for being a Lego purchaser using my VIP points. So there is an advantage over time. Granted, it's only 5%. but it stacks up over time. So and you can use it. So as long as you're adding to it, you can use that. The other thing that works out within the stores is they'll do double VIP points several times throughout the year. And so that's one of the things that's going to be coming up the weekend before Black Friday. They do their they'll do their double VIP points the weekend before Black Friday. And they'll also have certain deals and certain things that are only available to VIP members. So again, it's free. You sign up, you get points. They'll do double points. And so instead of getting 5% back, you're getting 10% back to accumulate over time and to purchasing. So those are things to do if you are going to the Lego store and you're looking for specific things. And yes, certain sets are only available in the Lego store, like the Ninjago City sets and the big modulars. Those are only available through Lego directly. So those are the places to get those things. Another thing, like I said, AFOL Day. If you are a member of a registered lug, an R-Lug, which is a registered Lego user group, 4 times a year, they have AFOL Day. And instead of doing double VIP points or whatever like that, they give you a flat 15% off of your purchase, which in the Lego store, even for dented boxes and stuff like that, they'll only usually give you 10% off of a damaged box. So this is the best to maximize your purchase of something at a Lego store. They used to make it where you couldn't get anything over $100 on that discount. But then within the last 2 years or so, they've been changing it and letting more things added to it. So now it's basically anything under about $450, you can get the 15% off discount. So most of the modulars, any like the 3-in-1, like the new castle set that they did for 3-in-1, the pirate 3-in-1, the Barracuda Bay, all these nostalgia sets are in there. The big creator ones like the Fender guitar, the typewriter, the bouquet, all these things, 15% off. So you're covered for that. So the thing is, though, you need to be a member of a registered lug to get that and go through that whole process. But so if you are a lug member or you do or don't know about it, that's one of the advantages of being a member of a lug.
How does one become a lug member?
So normally you got to go on to it's land.lego or land, I think land Lego. I can't remember the address, but if you search Lego Ambassador Network, and it'll tell you how to find a lug within there. And usually sometimes there's one in a country, depending on where you are in the world. Sometimes there'll be, one in each state, or multiples in each state, or multiples within a city. It depends on the demographic or how people have done it. You start out usually like a new area, like a good Lego store manager will help create a lug in his area. If they're worth their salt, they'll recognize that they're adult fans of Lego and bring them together and start them off on creating their own lug and get them registered. And next thing you know, they're doing displays with groups and going to conventions and setting up things and all sorts of fun stuff. We could spend an entire episode talking about just lugs in general as well. So that's another good way of getting your discounts and best and good buying practices is being a member of Lug and taking advantage of those deals within the Lego stores themselves.
Nice.
So that's giving you the best bang for your buck for the Lego stores. Also check and see if they've got dented boxes. A lot of the stores are starting to do that now. You can even ask. You can even say, "Hey, this set's $150. You got a dented box in the back that you can knock off?" And they'll go and they'll grab it and they'll knock it off. So
nice.
It's a good thing to keep in mind. Another little secret, and I mentioned double VIP points earlier. Lego store employees automatically get 50% off their purchases, but they still accumulate points because that's part of the whole thing. That's, when they purchase, they still have to have a VIP card and they do the whole thing and they get points, but they only get points for the dollars they spent. So if they make $100 purchase, or what would be $100 set that they're getting for $50, they only get $50 of points. When there's double VIP points, they can get double points, which to them is almost like regular points for you and me. But they may not necessarily take advantage of that themselves, or maybe they're, these are sometimes younger kids or younger family members, and so they may not have the funds that us nerdy old dads might have. So if you happen to come across a Lego store employee that you befriend and strike up a relationship with, and they may get in the conversation of saying, "Hey, double VIP points are coming up next week. how'd you like to earn double points if I can take advantage of your discount? And so therefore, you're basically getting the 50% discount. They're getting your VIP points, which you don't care at that point because you're already making a better deal on the 50% off. And then they get the double VIP points for them to redeem and get something that they want.
Nice.
So it's not common to have happen to find it, but sometimes if a bird tells you that, hey, this employee is willing to make a transaction, you show up with cash and they will use their VIP card for you to ring up and take the purchase. So just a little birdie.
Be nice to people.
Yes. No, absolutely. Be nice to people and nice things will happen to you. I had a friend of mine who used to work at one of the Lego stores here. And when he left, he then no longer had his discount. But so he was using the discount of one of the team leads. And when she would let me float in on that too. And so I was like, hey, this is cool. Well, then like the following year in January, she was leaving to go to do another real full-time job and leave Lego. So she had just gotten her allotment clicked over again. She allowed both me and my buddy to use $1,000 of her allotment. So I said to the wife, I'm like, listen, I was going to go in there and get a couple things, and I listed off the modulars and stuff like that, big sets, basically. And she's like, can you get another Falcon? I'm like, I suppose I could. So I walked in there. Yeah. So I walked in there in January. We're just got to Christmas. We haven't even done our taxes yet. And all of a sudden here I am. Yeah, I'm dropping $1,000 for $2,000 worth of Lego. And
great deal.
Yeah. Not that I didn't already have a UCS Falcon, but now I have a second one to hold on to down the road do with what I may, or, and a couple other things. Like I even grabbed another UCS Slave 1 before it retired. A buddy of mine told me, it's like, if you should grab that because it'll pay for something else down the road. And already the thing is like 3-4 times what it was going for when it came out.
It's amazing how much nerd culture is affecting everything. I wanted to say this because you and I had a very brief conversation because I went and the whole deal thing segues where I'm going with this is.
All right.
I went to my local, they have this thing called an apple harvest. So once a year they do this, it's sort of the town's festival.
Right.
And I went and bought Legos. I kid you not. I've been to this thing 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first time there was anything. There was 2 nerdy things. There was a vintage toy tent.
Oh, nice.
And I got an old school alien from the second movie Aliens. It's a xenomorph figure from Kenner.
Okay.
And I bought 7 Lego minis figures. I want to say it was like $20.
Okay.
So it was about like $2-3 a piece. Like I did the math in my head. I'm like, okay,
it's a decent deal.
Yeah. So I ended up like the whole stand. And it's just tons of Lego minifigures, and dinosaurs and everything. So I was looking for a Dilophosaurus because that's my favorite, legitimately. And I have been yet to find one that's not stupidly overpriced.
Right.
But one day I will find him, and he will be mine.
I'll see what I can do.
Oh,
I know a guy. I know like a herd of people. So. But so you're talking about something with the deal and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that opens up deals. And so let me finish the retail first, and then we're gonna
I'm so sorry.
No, we're gonna dive into that next section. But so the retail side is where I want to finish off. So Legos or Target, Walmart are your next big bang for your bucks. As far as when clearance times happen, you kind of got to play with it. You got to check the clearance sections towards the end of the month. Thursdays, I think, are Target's time of pulling things on clearance and stuff like that. Check your end caps. Check to make sure your Walmarts and Targets don't have a separate aisle that they shove all their clearance sections to. Keep an eye on social media because a lot of times you'll see people start posting saying, "Hey, this set's on sale at Target, or this set's on sale at Walmart, or this set's on sale on their app, or whatever it might be. There was something about probably about a month ago. They came out with a Hermione and Harry Potter maxi built big figures. So basically, it's like, you'll see people 3D print minifigures. Well, these are like the size of a 3D printed minifigure that's huge and oversized, but it's all brick built. The set goes for like I don't know, I think $120 or something like that. For whatever reason, Target marked down to 50% off.
Really?
But only available online and only available in their app. And I think I had that, and I had like a $20 because Target circled whatever. So I basically got that $120 set for $40, and it just came out this year.
Really?
So again, you got to check, and it was something, somebody saw it on social media, heard it through a friend, and then boom, next thing I'm on the toilet and I'm using my phone and I'm buying Lego. So, you do that kind of thing when
it looks like a Lego minifigure, but it's all built out of Legos. That's cool.
It's like a foot tall. They're like a foot tall. So you got to check social media is a good way to see when things are going, especially if you're in like a Lego group, or you got Lego connections, Lego friends, they're going to post and stuff like that. Like Instagram is a great place for when I see, hey, this has gone on clearance at Costco. Costco is another section to check, because they'll do like a pallet of something, and it'll normally be $10 or $25 off of what it would normally be, depending on the size of the set and the price like that. So Costco is another one. They're hit or miss. It's not like it's a guarantee that your Costco is going to have it, but usually around the holidays or during specific times of the year, like Easter, and of course Christmas, there's going to be like a Lego pallet or two, and there are going to be discounts, or they'll have like 3 sets in one box that they'll run a deal on. That'll happen at Costco. The other thing about Target is Red Card. You get 5% off automatically. So that's already better than the VIP points that you're getting at the Lego store. Just by your Red Card, you're getting 5% off. And then what doesn't happen in a Lego store is they don't ever put sets on sale unless like they're trying to clearance it out, which is very rare. And it's usually it's like the least amount of sets that you would ever think you would even want to even look at. So they're usually not something to look at. But Target will constantly do, hey, spend $50 on Lego and get a $10 Target gift card, and tack on there 5% from your Red Card, or you'll go down the aisle and there'll be all these sets that are 20% off. So the best place to find Lego for a good price for new sets is definitely going to be Target, hands down.
So not that it's a retail store, but let me ask you this. Since the holidays are coming up, the advent calendars and the holiday calendars, are they really worth the price tag that's on them? Do you think you get the bang for your buck?
Not if you buy them retail price. Not if you buy them from MSRP, from manufacturer special retail price. If you go to Costco, Costco and Walmart are notorious for having the advent calendars $10 less than everywhere else. I don't know how or why that happens, but that is typically the case.
Interesting.
The city set is always the cheapest. It's usually like $25 or $29, even at retail price. It's good price. It's good pieces. You get some town minifigures. They're, not as collectible desired as say your Harry Potter ones or the Star Wars ones. And the fact that now we got a Marvel one this year is cool.
Do we?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm going to look this up.
You get a Marvel one this year. And I typically will either get them at Costco or Walmart if I can get them for the reduced price, or I will wait until after Christmas and then buy them when they go on clearance, because those are typically not sets that will stay on the shelves to say, oh, somebody will want this next summer. No, they'll try to get rid of those sooner than later. And so that's when, like, I walked into a Disney store, which those are now closing all over the place.
Oh my God, mine just closed. Yeah. It was so heartbreaking.
Both of them in my local area have closed. It was so sad. I used to go there on May the 4th every year, get a pin, do whatever. It's fantastic. So sad to see them both go. But I walked into a Disney store and found 4 advent calendars for 50% off what the retail price was for the Star Wars ones. The minifigures alone in one box paid for the other 3 boxes. So from my perspective, I'm like, oh, this was a no-brainer. And there are lots of little pieces. Now, granted, to some people, they might think, well, I'm used to big bricks and blocks and plates, and that's what I'm looking for because that's what I'm used to when I was a kid. But for finishing details and all that kind of stuff, all the pieces that come in those advent calendars are gold. They're great pieces. Specifically, if you're not going to alternate sources to get large quantities of little pieces, it's a great way to get a lot of those little pieces. So
I like that. I want the Marvel one now. I'm looking at it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like,
it's got an infinity. I think it's got an infinity gauntlet.
No, what I like the best. All right, I'm literally looking at this. It's got the what's supposed to be like the Iron Man like armors, like all on display. So it's got three Iron Man armors on display, like on it with the background. I'm like, oh, that's clever. And I kind of want it. I'm not
so here's a funny story. They've been talking about that they were showing up in Costco's for a while, and that's been like my go-to to find the advent calendars, just to go into Costco. And I had kept seeing it, and week after week I'd be in there for whatever, and I'm like, nope. And I finally walked in one day, and they were on the way in. You know how sometimes they'll have like big pallets on you as you're walking in, and so about 3/4 of the way down there was a pallet, and it was all Star Wars and Marvel. They didn't have any of the City or Harry Potters. I think they had them later on or prior before it, because I was specifically looking for both the Marvel and the Star Wars one. And there was a couple. They were like probably my age or a little older, probably standing in there. One of them, I think, was on the phone, and they were talking, and they were standing literally in front of the pallet with their cart. And I'm like, trying to be nice. All right, you gonna move? Nope. All right, fine. I'm gonna come around the corner of you, and I'm like, excuse me. And I grabbed a Marvel, and I grabbed 2 Star Wars, and they're like, whoa, wait, we wanted that one. We wanted that. I'm like, there's plenty more. You guys are fine. And they were trying to be a little jokey with me because I was coming around the corner. And so the guy's like, 3? And I'm like, well, yeah, I need 2 Star Wars and 1 Marvel. And he's like, so how old are your kids? I'm like, 49. And he's like, so these are for you? And I'm like, absolutely. And he's like, so do you open them up? I'm like, yeah. She's like, do you build them and display them? I'm like, yep. He's like, you needed more than one? I'm like, well, one's to save and one's to use pieces for. He's like, does your wife know you do this? And I said, sorry, wait a minute. Let me preface this before he asked me about the wife thing. So I said, oh yeah, I build this. I'm with a group, and there's a bunch of adults. We're called AFOLs, Adult Fan of Legos, and we get together. We do big displays, whether it's a town or a space related or whatever it's going to be. And we have meetings and whatnot. And he's like, so what does your wife think about you doing all of this? I'm like, it keeps me out of the bars. And he's like, you're a good man. And they were chuckling, and I turned around and kept on going.
That's what we made that joke not too long ago. Me, David, and Sarah, who's a cosplayer. I don't know do you know her? She's a teacher down in Florida now. I know David knows a ton of people, but
it's possible I've bumped into her. But at Dragon Con, you meet people and you know them, but you don't remember their names.
Well, we made the joke. But the point is, we made the joke that if you want to keep your kids out of trouble, or your significant others, get them into a nerdy hobby, because I guarantee it, they're not going to be able to financially afford to do anything else.
Exactly. This is my midlife crisis, and my wife's like, she's like, no sports car, no chasing skirt. I'm like, nope, it's plastic bricks.
Yeah, no, mine is just like walls of nerdiness. It's glorious. I look over, actually, the Monsters and Mailman thing, they're coming down. This is how nerdy we're getting, that we've hit a new level of nerdiness, because we typically because it's been warm outside, we do it by the campfire, we have tables up, tents, and it's very awesome, awesome setup. And it's getting cold, and one of them goes, hey, we can do it down in your basement. And I said, oh my god, we're gonna play Dungeons and Dragons down in my basement.
I believe you've come full circle. You've come full circle.
Almost. The only thing that could make it worse is if it was my mother's house. We're playing D&D in my mother's basement.
That would be the coup de grace of ultimate geeky things coming all together.
But like, we are so close. Well,
see, because I think you're probably about 10, 15 years younger than I am.
I'll be 35 next week.
Okay. So I basically hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
So when I was at that age, my nerdy was much more wide. Like I was all over the place.
I am a connoisseur.
Yeah. Yes. I didn't have a focus. My basement back half of the section that needs to be gone through and inventoried and sold is proof to that. So so as I started getting older, I started refining and whittling down to finding, all right, I can do Lego and Star Wars at the same time. So I've got basically peanut butter and my chocolate together. All right, I can do this. I can stick with just one thing.
I can't do that though.
It's a process.
I don't have a choice though. But
you'll get there. You'll get there.
I don't think I can.
You'll get there. It's a process.
My problem is legitimately. I talk to people like you, and I'm sitting here going, okay, I want the Marvel Avengers Lego Advent Calendar, and then you said Star Wars. I'm like, you know what? Let me look at this. And there's a baby Grogu in a freaking onesie. Christmas outfit? Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah,
that's freaking adorable. I want that too. The Mando.
So as you notice, this was the one I got to take apart, just because I need pieces.
No,
how can you not have that baby Grogu?
My God, that's why I want it now.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's my problem. I talk to people. I talk to sadistic people like you who get me into it. Have you? I literally look at there. There's Hallmark Star Wars up there. There's Dungeons and Dragons, Vampires the Masquerade, Death and Glory. I have dragons over there. I have vintage Jurassic Park toys, Funko Pops, Warhammer 40K. I'm literally just looking at naming things. HeroClix, Sphero, R2D2 droids.
See, the funny thing is, literally everything that you have rattled off.
Yeah,
I have done or have still. I mean, even Vampire the Masquerade.
I have HeroQuest.
Even Vampire the Masquerade. I used to play that with my D&D group in the local comic book shop probably 15 years ago. So even that,
please tell me you had like a goth phase in it too. Like you wore the black lipstick. But come on.
So you know what? All right. So side tangent real quick. I wish that when I was growing up that I had the cojones to go and dye my hair blue and get weird, crazy, funky kind of stuff like that. But it just wasn't conducive to where I grew up. I grew up in white bread, middle Midwest area that we didn't even have goths at that time. They didn't exist. It was just,
you had a goth.
No, but they were still technically a burnout. They were still part of the burnout. So they weren't really goth. I mean,
okay.
You didn't have those options. You didn't have the cool anime kids that could influence you to go in to do. I wish I had done it. I still to this day wish I had dyed my hair blue at some point in time. There's still time left, I guess, but
yeah, there is. I was about to say you can still do it. You still got a few on your head.
I can still do it. I don't have to go into an office, so I could probably get away with it and it'd be kind of fun. So maybe next year in 2022 will be blue hair day.
Well, see. You know what? You should do it, and we'll talk because I do have to wrap this up in a few minutes, but I wanted to talk about because we didn't get to talk about it last time, and I got hell for it.
Okay.
And Legoland in New York City.
Okay.
Or in New York.
Okay.
Holy cow. That is a reason enough for you and your wife to come up here and come hang out with me.
So there is
and they have a hotel. They have a Lego hotel.
There is an undisclosed date when I will go up there because Lego is weird and you meet people and you befriend people and it's a very incestuous little community. You start to know people and you become friends. Like the fact that one of my good friends is helped mentor and would drive to conventions with Tyler Kleitz, who won Lego Masters Season 1.
Nice.
The brothers, the Ericksons, Mark and Steven, I've known for probably about 4 years, who they are members of my Lego user group and live down south of here. I have lunch with them from time to time or see them all the time. So I already have personal connections with both the Lego Masters season 1, season 2 winners. Along with the same group of people who I've met and gone through, the model shop in Legoland, New York is run by a guy named Ryan, and he and I are friends.
Of course, you know, why wouldn't
that I have met through other people as well. So when I do go, I am hoping he will grace me with a behind the scenes tour of the model shop and stuff like that. So we actually have a group of us the guys who I do the YouTube stream with, that, you know, we're going to go up there en masse one time, with or without our wives. We haven't decided whether we're going to make a guys weekend or we'll take the families up there, but just to go do Legoland New York, preferably not during the winter.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't think they're open during the winter, but
well, I mean, assume they're open to an extent, but probably not to the degree that they are during the rest of the year. I don't know. Because see, and the funny thing is that Ryan, he grew up in California and started like working with the Legoland in California, then came to Florida to work in the model shop in the Florida location, and then got transferred to New York to be the lead of the model shop. So he's actually worked in all things. So I can understand the Florida and the California locations.
Yeah, no, coming up here, I don't understand why he came up. Look, I get why I came over here, because I came from Indiana, which is, I was raised up by Lake Michigan, and it's lake effects weather. It sucks. I hate the winter. I hate cold. I absolutely detest it. And then I married a girl from a place that's slightly more northern, New England and Connecticut.
Yeah. You were doomed to get from the get-go.
Oh, I'm a glutton for punishment. Yeah. But no, let me know what you need to do to butter him up, because I would love to come talk to this guy too and pick out his brain on that.
I will see what I can do. I'll see what I can do. Ryan's he's a busy guy.
My God.
When they were stuck in quarantine and before they could even open the park and stuff like that, he would join us on Monday nights or even Thursday nights on our stream and hang and chat with us. But now, since they've been in full swing, we haven't talked to him. Every so often we'll see him in the peanut gallery, but normally he's like, he's either working with the 4 or 5 kids that he has, or he's sleeping. So it's either one of the 3 things. So.
Look, I feel for the guy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, but like, it's so, and here's the part that I couldn't believe. There's a Legoland up here in New York, and like the manufacturing facility used to be up, the one in Connecticut used to be here. It was right around the corner, and it blew my mind that I didn't know this, and we didn't talk about it at all. So you've never been to the Legoland up here?
No.
So you have no idea about it, but you're going up there. You're going to try to get up there eventually.
Yeah, I'm going to stay in the Legoland hotel and do the whole thing.
If
I'd even love to try and when I do it, to try and swing through Enfield, Connecticut, which is where Lego US headquarters are as well. I don't know. It used to be like a thing you could do, but I think they may have gone away with that. I don't know. I'd have to check and see.
Well, I'm sure with your connections, you could butter up a few people and get some stuff.
But I don't think it's quite the thing that it used to be. Like most of it's gotten,
I totally get it.
It's like all gotten farmed out and pushed all over the country. And so it's not quite the experience that I think it would have been at one time. But I'm still going to drive by just to say, hey, look, there it is. And keep on going.
Like, oh, there it is.
Oh, so wait. So I know before I finish up, I wanted to finish up with Facebook Marketplace.
Yes.
Craigslist, whatever local paper or whatever, or just search list, looking for Lego, because people will sell it like $50. Like they'll say, here's 50 pounds, make an offer. Or here's 100 pounds, make an offer. Or my kids have this huge tub, $20, take it, come get it now. And if you're looking for parts, it's no guarantee that you're going to find instructions. It's no guarantee that you're going to find full sets. You may find half the minifigures from a set because maybe, somebody's dog ate the other one. You never know what's going to happen in these, but it is probably the best and cheapest way to get bulk Lego to create your inventory for when you want to build, because people kind of lose their mind when you say, oh, well, I took all my sets that I have at home and I took them all apart and I started building stuff. What? No, you can't take that, because they're collectors. And so Lego collectors versus Lego builders collect sets. And so you want to keep those sets together, and because they appreciate in value. Case in point, I found a pirate set that I bought in 2016 at Toys R Us before they closed. I had a $5 off coupon, so I spent $25 on this set because I wanted it for a hairpiece, for a sig fig for my wife.
Okay.
Because this was before me learning about bricks and pieces and Bricklink and all that stuff, where I could have just gone someplace and bought that hair. So I bought this set. I had a reason to go looking for it because I was doing a project and I'm like, oh, maybe I need those pirate pieces to do what I want to do. As I said, I don't normally build with pirates. And so I was building something pirate. So I went to go look for this one set that I have. And so I pulled it up on Bricklink and I'm checking to see what the price on this thing is. It goes for $100 used. I'm not talking sealed, mint, and box. I'm talking $100 used. Doesn't even have to have the box. It's $100 set now. It's fine. It's 5 years or 6 years or 5 years later. The set tripled its price. And that's the thing about keeping sets together. So if you're looking for that, buying bulk, it's a hit or miss. You may find, like I had one great deal, a buddy of mine sent my way, $300. And I found, and the guy had all the instructions. I think I had to pull maybe like 12 pieces out of my inventory. I basically pretty much got about $3,500 in complete sets for $300 because they were all just, they weren't in bags of sets. They were just all loose. He's like, here's the sack of instructions. Here's all these tubs, $300. I'm out the door. I came home, spent the next month sorting, reparting the sets all, or part restoration, as I like to call it, parting all the sets back together. And I have since sold off. I went down to one of our secondhand Lego shops and I took in like 7 or 8 of the sets that I got out of it. And it was like $350 worth of store credit. So that alone that I turned in paid for the whole thing. And I still have a whole bunch of sets. And a Futron monorail was in there, which that set alone goes for $350 and up.
Is it complete?
It's complete.
Wow.
So, and that wound up being my second Futron monorail because my wife gave me one for Christmas one year, which it took me like 40 years to get that set for Christmas finally. But disposable income, no kids, good times, good times. But so great time. So those types, like if you can find a bulk buy,
yes,
and if you can get pictures and you can see, hey, I can see there are some Star Wars and some Marvel figures in there. I'm going to go ahead and get this. Cause I had like one guy send me pictures, somebody in his neighborhood. It's like, hey, this lady's got this huge big tub. She's like, what do you want? I'm like, I'll offer $100. I mean, it's probably worth like $400 or $500, but I'll offer $100 and see what she says. She's like, done. And then when he brought me the tub, she had this other tub here with it. And it had a whole bunch of like first, second year Marvel figures that you are like crazy prices and stuff like that. And the whole thing for $100. So it hits your Facebook marketplaces and Craigslist. Be social conscious. Don't meet them in a dark alley. Meet them in a public place and whatever. Do your due diligence and be safe when you do that. But that is a great way to get cheap costing bulk Lego. You wash it, clean it, sort it, do what you're going to do with it. But you will find sets. You will find minifigures. You will find good parts to build stuff that you want to build.
That's awesome. Dana, where can the good people in the Nerd Nation find you?
You can find me on Mondays and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. on Old Gray Bricks. If you could search that on YouTube, it will come up as Fazoom is the name of the guy who runs the stream. Or you can find me on Flickr at Troubles Brewing, I think is my Flickr name, which I need to change to Troubles Bricking. And then you can also find me on Instagram and YouTube under Troubles Bricking.
That's awesome. Dana, thank you so much for being on the show. And we never have enough time to talk about everything. And I know I went on a tangent again, but we go on tangents and I love these tangents that we go on. And
I tell you what, you have an open invitation every 3 months. Hit me up.
Done. I'll do it too.
I know you will.
Absolutely.
If
next time, hopefully David will be on the show again.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
But it's fun, and this is a great, especially with the holidays coming on, finding these deals and everything, and knowing where to look for stuff. It's absolutely amazing. And anything we don't talk about here, I know for a fact you have talked about on your guys' podcasts, on live streams, and on your YouTubes. So if anything where the people want to find out more information, they know who to come to. You Correct. Are the guru. You are the master that I go to for all this stuff. And it's always a blast. Dana Knudsen, thank you so much. And I wanted to make sure I said your name perfectly proper on here. Trust me, I've been kicking myself in the ass the entire episode. Like, how did I screw this up? He should never come back.
No worries, man. Trust me, growing up with this name for as long as I've had it, you will not be the first nor the last to screw it up. So no.
This is why you're my bestest buddy in the entire world, dude. Thank you so much. Dana, thank you so much for being on the show. So let's go ahead and let's wrap this up. As always, please like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you are listening to us on Audible and Apple, please remember to rate and review. We're also on Instagram and Facebook, so please like and follow us at DNA Pod, and on Twitter at NerdDNA Pod, and on Twitch at NerdDNA Podcast. And as always, I am your host, Steve Pugh, and joined with me tonight was the wonderful, the amazing, the spectacular Lego Master Builder, Dana Knudsen. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Thank you, and good night.